Buenos días, me llamo Alejandro Salais y hoy voy a presentar sobre mi proyecto final de traducción para la clase de 375. So starting off with my article, the original article in español is ¿Qué quedará de los restaurantes después de la pandemia?, which I translated into English as What will be left of restaurants after the pandemic? The original author is Olin Velasco, and this was published September 24, 2020 by Letras Libres. The article basically told the thoughts, stories, and experiences of Mexican restaurant owners as they dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, I translated from Spanish into English. So I faced quite a few challenges when it came to translating, including problems of accuracy versus aesthetics in my word choice, syntax in regard to sentence structure, describing words with no direct translations, and translating official names and idiomatic expressions. The leading principle that helped me face these challenges was actually inspired by a quote by Jose Marti, which basically he says that your translation should strive to sound natural in the target language, as if it had already been written in that language. And so, with that being said, the first translation challenge I'd like to share was with no direct translations from Spanish to English. And this came up with the word tornabodas. So if we look to el texto fuente on the left, the passage reads, Nos la rentaban para tornabodas y eventos privados, which I try to translate as, we used to rent out for either A, wedding rehearsal dinners or wedding after parties and private events. And I found these two terms by doing some research. So for my research, I first went to lingüe.com, everyone's favorite, but at Lingüe they only had one example for the translation, which is rehearsal dinner. So you know what, let me dig a little deeper. And I actually found this website called bodas.com.mx, which is a Mexican website about weddings in Mexico. And in Mexico, tornabodas refer to an event after the wedding. It's a little more intimate with fewer guests, reserved for close family and friends, and it's characterized as being relaxed. It also takes place either the morning after or the afternoon after the wedding. And so because of this, I figured that wedding after parties serves best as the translation for tornabodas. However, I still had this remaining question that although after party, wedding after party, captures the time of the event after the wedding, does it truly express the relaxing vibe of tornabodas? Because to me, when I hear the word after party in English, I usually think of something more wild and rambunctious, like, hey, there's an after party after the concert, you coming? Or something like that. So that's just a limitation in this translation. Another challenge I faced was in the translation of this program in Mexico. The acronym is Infonavit, which directly translated from, in Español, Instituto del Fondo Nacional de la Vivienda para los Trabajadores to Institute of the National Housing Fund for Workers. But I figured, this is an official name, so they're probably an official translation. So I did some more research. I went to the Mexican government's official website, and sure enough, there was a official English term, which is Institute of the National Fund for Workers' Housing. And I used that, and that's how I solved this challenge. And finally, I'd like to share this challenge I had with translating this idiomatic expression, which is apps de rapiña. So that was apps de rapiña is from the Español original, el texto fuente. And so I looked up okay, what's rapiña? And rapiña can be translated as either robbery, raptor, or bird of prey. So I was apps of robbery apps, apps of raptors, raptor apps, apps of birds of prey. It didn't make sense until I started reading it, and getting to the context, which this part of the article was talking about apps that are on your phone that you can use to order food for delivery. So none of these direct translations still sounded right to me, or they didn't really make sense at all. So I instead chose to use food snatching apps, which because I was it's not exactly you're stealing. It's because you're not robbing, you're not stealing the food. But I figured, food snatching apps, it's kind of you're snatching it up, kind of how a bird of prey would snatch up its food. And so those are some of the challenges that I faced in my final translation project and how I faced some of them. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great winter break. Hasta luego.